Hi, my name's Ryan. Thanks for watching another video. I recently did a video on Microsoft Word as a beginner's tutorial, but this time we're going to be looking at Microsoft Excel. Now the two do have their similarities, but Microsoft Excel is a data input application. It's used for various reasons. A lot of businesses will use it to input and manage their data, such as keeping track of their expenditure, but a lot of people will use it for personal reasons as well, such as to plan their own budgets or a calendar. There are lots of things, and actually you can see on this home page here that Microsoft actually present you with some templates that it thinks you might find useful. So you can see we've got some calendars, we've got a schedule, we've got a budget, we've got a meal planner, and then down here we've actually got some invoice things. So that's a bit more on the business side, and perhaps a bit more than we'll actually go into in this particular video. All I want to show you here are some of the basics, get you started with some of the formulas, only the basic ones that I think most people should know, and just to really understand how the application works. So to do that, we're going to open a blank workbook, and you can see here, if you've used Microsoft Word or any of their other applications, it's a fairly familiar layout, at least with their newer versions of Microsoft Office. We've got various tabs here, which we're going to go through some of those shortly. Excuse me. But here on the main page, obviously, we've got lots of cells in different rows and columns, and this is where we're going to input and manage our data. But if you look at the home page, most of this, at least this area here, is actually pretty familiar. So if I just put in some text, we can do with this what we would do to text in any other Microsoft application. So if we just go here, we can scroll over some of these different fonts, and it will give you a preview. Similar with the size, we can change the size up or down, so to increase the size or decrease it, bold, italic, underline it. I'll come on to this one in a second, but we can actually fill in the cell with a colour. So we've got yellow, or we can just choose any colour that you like. You can also change the colour of the text inside as well. Now if I just go ahead and press delete here, you can see it does clear the contents of the cell, so it deletes the text, but actually you're left with a formatted cell, which is highlighted yellow, and any text we type inside will be red, whereas obviously this is just more what we're used to. So you may be thinking, right, well, I need to go back up here, I need to change the colour back, so on and so forth. But all you actually want to do is delete the formatting. So if I just come up here on the home page and click clear, I just want to press clear format, and that's going to return the cell to its default format settings. So there's no formatting on this cell. You can see if I just type in, it's going to go back to normal. So that's just something I wanted to point out. Now, one of the uses of Excel is obviously to list data. Now we're just going to use some simple examples in this instance. So we're actually going to do, let's say, you're selling a few different objects and they vary in price. So we can call this price chart. That's a terrible name, but we'll go with it. We're just going to make it a bit bigger because this is kind of like a heading. Now we're only going to use two columns, but what we're actually going to do is we're actually going to merge these cells. So if I just click on that here and just click merge and center, you can see that's just merged these two cells here. So now that's just one cell. Whereas if before, and I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to undo, or you can actually go up here and undo there, just like in any other Microsoft application. You can see we've actually got two cells here. Now the text is showing as it looks like chart is written in cell B, but there's actually nothing in cell B. If I were to type in cell B, it would overwrite it. So we've still got price chart, as you can see here, written in this particular cell, cell A1, but we need to delete that in order to see it. So that is why I'm going to highlight those and merge and center these two cells. So we can't select cell B1 anymore. This has all become one cell. So just kind of a side note there, something to note, especially if you're doing something like titles. It's very useful. Now we are going to create two columns here. We're going to have price and we're going to have quantity. So let's say we have items between 0 and £10. And let's say we've sold 5 of those. So in this example, let's say we started up a new business and we're just kind of keeping track of sales. Then we've got items between £10 and £20, and they've been doing quite well. We've sold 15 of those, and then items between £20 and £30, not done quite as well. We've sold 8 of those. So I'm just going to make these say bold so they stand out a little bit. And this is a obviously very simple table of something that you might want to use this for. Now, there's not really a lot, anything particularly special about this. But one of the amazing features of Excel is its ability to create graphs. So if I just go to insert here, you can see there's a lot of things you can do. You can insert a table, you can insert pictures if you want to, or shapes, and this is very similar. If you watch my Microsoft Word tutorial, it's exactly the same really as that. You can just put in an image from your computer. They got some online, pretty self-explanatory. But one thing that's different really, although you can actually do this in Word, but Excel is kind of specialized in it, and if you're doing more advanced stuff, that's when you're going to find it especially useful. So first what you need to do is you need to highlight the data. Now I'm going to include price and quantity in my highlight. You don't have to, but you'll see what it does when you do in a minute. You've got various charts there, but for now I'm just going to click on recommended charts, and what you've got here is you've got a table that it's showing you. So these are some that it recommends just based on the data you've input. So we've got a pie chart here. Now this is quite a nice one. You can quite clearly see the orange, 10 to £20, and then so on. You've got a slightly different graph here. You've got a slightly less useful one, I think, there. Now if you don't like those, you can go on to all charts here. And here you have lots of different options. So these are column charts, and you can see these all vary slightly. You can even go to 3D. So if you've got another set of data that you want to put in, it can actually put that on a separate axis for you. If I just hover over here, you can see that slightly more clearly. In this case, of course, I'm just using 2 sets of data. But you've also got other graphs as well. You've got line graphs, and again, lots of different options. You've got pie charts, as I mentioned earlier. You can do that in 3D. Then you've got some less useful ones that we're not really interested in. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to keep this to a simple column graph. We'll do it in different colours though, just so it stands out a bit more. I'm just going to click OK. So here you can see we've got a graph, and we can move it around, we can put it wherever we like. And this is just showing you the information that we selected here. Now you can see it's actually put quantity at the bottom here. Now this isn't entirely accurate. So what we're going to do, you can see we've got different options here. I'm just going to click on the plus, and we're going to include some axis titles. So this is what we want to call this axis here. We're just going to call this quantity, and we're going to call this title. All I'm doing is double clicking in it to select it. This one, price. Now this title we're actually going to remove. So there we go. Now we've got a right click graph, and we can select the title as well. We can call it price chart. Now I could have actually included price chart in my highlight. I'm going to point out now that the way Excel includes not the actual numbers as your data, but some of the titles for your axes can be hit and miss. It's not always very accurate. So in that instance, I would suggest doing what I did here, clicking on this plus, and you can include different things here. Now you can see it's actually giving me other options as well. The ticked boxes are obviously the ones that are showing, but you can see you've got data labels, so you can just add that there, and you've got different options for these. You can put it on the inside, you can put it on the outside. There's a lot you can do. There's some other ones as well, slightly less useful ones. Error bars obviously not important here, and you can remove these as well. If you don't want the axes shown, you can take them out. There's a lot you can do. You can still change the style within here, so I could create a more fancy, not really my kind of thing, but a more fancy graph there. Lots of different colours. You can select colours here, and you can choose different colour ranges. So if you've got more sets of data as well, you can see some of the colours it's going to use. Now this will all match with what's up here. So there's a lot of ways to design your charts. I'm not going to do anything much more with this. I would suggest really just playing around. You get the idea of how to style your chart here, and I would say that's really all you need to do. Just mess around. Everyone's going to have their own preferences or want different things. I'm more of a simple chart kind of person. I think it's easier to see the data, but we'll leave this one here for now. So that's the price chart that we've got here. Now I'm going to show you something else that's kind of interesting. In fact, I'm going to put this price chart over here for now. So just remember that that matches what we've got here. Now this quantity. So obviously we've got simple information here. We can see that the sum of the amount of stuff that we've sold is 5 plus 15 plus 8, so it's just 28. But you might have a ton of data. You might have hundreds of these values. They might be extremely complicated. They might go, you might be talking 15.085 plus, etc., etc. It's going to be very difficult, and this is one of the brilliant things about Excel. Now there are several things you can do here. One, I can just, if we want to find the sum, so I can just highlight this information, and then in the Home tab, you can see here AutoSum. If I just click on that, then underneath it's going to present you with the sum of those figures that you highlighted. Now if you look as to what it's actually doing in the formula bar, you've actually got a very simple equation that's typed out there. Equals, because equals is always what you put in first if you're trying to get it to do a calculation, and then sum, makes sense, you're summing up, and then brackets, and then you can put B4, and then the colon signifies that it's going from whatever is between B4 and then B6, and then you close it off with a bracket. So if we wanted to do that without going up here to AutoSum, let's say we wanted to find out actually the sum of all of these, you could put in here equals sum, or you can actually type it up here. It's completely up to you. Now we want to actually just include the 28. I know it doesn't make any sense, but let's say we do that. So then we could type in B4, and then we want to go all the way down to B7. So it's going to show the sum of all those numbers now. So you've got two different options. You can either input it very simply there, or you can actually type it in and use the formula. I wouldn't suggest learning all the formulas because there are a bunch of them. but you get the idea. There's stuff you can do there. So we're just going to delete that now, and we'll delete that as well. So one other one I wanted to show you is average, because I feel like this is a very important one as well. So again, I'm just going to highlight those, and if I click on this little arrow here, you can see we've got several options here. I'm just going to go on average, and it will show you the average. So the average number of items sold, that's really useful, is £9.33. What might be more useful is knowing the average price of all the items that are sold. So that is, and then again you can see here in the formula bar what we've got. Now there's just one final thing I want to show. Let's say you are creating a budget and you've realised that the final profit at the end of the month, if you're in a business, say it has been £9,582. So perhaps you've input lots of data. That's the final figure you've come up with using some of the things that we've shown there. Now you can see here, if you've got lots of data that all looks like this, it's very bland, doesn't really stand out. It's going to be kind of hard to actually see the data that's important. Some of it isn't going to be very useful. Actually, you're only inputting it to get that values out like this. Total profit, that's obviously going to be quite a big one for a lot of people. So you really want it to stand out. But let's say you only want it to turn green. So let's turn the cell green if it's higher than forecasted, or red if it's lower. That could be something that's very useful for a lot of people. Even if you're doing your own budget, have you gone over your budget of, I don't know, £100 for the week or under it? So what we can do is, again, on the home page, just click on conditional formatting, and we want to just highlight the cells. There are other formatting options you can use, but this is quite an easy one. So we're just going to cover this one for now. So let's say that for this particular company, their target was £10,000 for the end of the month. So they're actually under. But before they even put that information in, you could have highlighted the cells here, and you can say that, right, well, if it's less than £10,000, and it gives you some options here. You can turn the text red, you can fill it red with dark red text, or you can actually use a custom format and just create whatever you want. It doesn't have to be red or green, whatever. So we're going to go with light red fill with dark red text if it's less than £10,000. Okay, so this is turned red because it's less than £10,000. But let's say the figure turned out to be £11,000. I forgot to do my other part. So we're going to add another format to the cells. So cells that are greater than £10,000. I should have done this bit first, so excuse me for that. We're going to actually fill with green with dark red text. So you can see it changed automatically. It's greater than £10,000, so it's turned green. But if it goes back to that figure of whatever it was, £9,500, it's going to turn red. That is pretty much all I'm going to cover in this instance. There is a lot more to Excel. It's actually very complicated, and a very useful skill if you're very good at it in businesses. But this is a beginner's tutorial, so I just wanted to cover some of the basics that I think a lot of people are going to find useful, such as creating simple tables, graphs, and a bit of conditional formatting, because I actually think that's quite a useful thing to do. But yeah, there are a lot more tabs that we didn't cover. If you guys enjoyed this video, then let me know, and I'll be more than happy to do a more advanced tutorial for you. So just leave a like, subscribe for more videos, and leave a comment and let me know what you think as well. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.